my thing not to go there. We'll just get started here in a minute. There's the camera. Magic happen? Magic should. Why is the magic not happening? How we doing? I'm David. You're in the right place for San Diego Python. Thank you for coming. I want to thank the Qualcomm Engineering Development Group, and specifically Drew and Urivan, who helped set it up and helping with the process of letting us be here and all that kind of stuff. I want to thank my co-organizer Jeremy in the back, who helps wrangle all the speakers so that we have good talks. Yep. And then just a small announcement. So we have a Saturday group. It's a little bit different than this group. It meets at 10 a.m. On Saturdays. It's all online. It's on Discord. If you don't know our Discord, if you go to sandiegopython.org, it's got a link to the Discord. But it's a little bit different than this. There aren't usually like a lineup of speakers where it's, where you have a talk lineup like this meetup that is every month. Instead, it's kind of a bring your own laptop, bring your own project, chat with other people. But they'll have like 15 people on a Saturday morning, all meeting up online in Discord. So if you're interested in that kind of a thing, check it out. Come for as long as you want. Learn about what projects other people are working on. Ask for help on a project that you're working on, something like that. Cool. I also want to, usually we meet on the fourth Thursday of the month. You will notice it is not the fourth Thursday of the month. It is the third Thursday. That is because next Thursday is Thanksgiving. And next month is also going to be weird like that. I think next month we're going to meet on the third Thursday as well, but it's going to be like a casual meetup rather than a talk lineup. We do this sometimes in December. Stay tuned to the meetup page. It'll probably be at like a restaurant. We'll probably just chat and eat pizza or something like that. If you're interested in that kind of a thing, it'll be on the third Thursday, which I think is the 21st. So it's still already getting a little tight, but yeah. And then in January, we'll be back to our regular schedule, fourth Thursday of the month, whatever day that is. It's not on my notes, so I don't know what day that is. Anyway, hopefully we'll see you in December. If not, see you in January. Yep. Cool. San Diego Python has a website. It's sandiegopython.org. It's got links to the YouTube channel. We are streaming this, so if you ever miss some talks and you're like, oh, I want to refer back to a talk that I saw, we stream them all, and you can go back and watch them. It's got a link to that YouTube channel. It's got a link to the Discord, which I talked about. There's a jobs channel in the Discord. We used to do a time frame where people would shout out a job that their company has, but you'd be advertising your job to the 12 people who are here. If you post it in the jobs channel, there's a couple hundred people in the Discord and they'll see it. So if your company's hiring or something like that, or you're looking for a job like that, that's a good place to talk about that kind of thing. There's a link on the website to becoming a speaker. We're always looking for speakers at all skill levels, 100% survival rate for speakers. So whether you want to talk about the issues you had setting up your Python environment, or whether you want to talk about some advanced thing in pandas, or somewhere in between that, that's okay. We're always looking for talks. So please become a speaker, because when there's not enough speakers, I have to give a talk. I'm giving a talk today. So I'm highly motivated to line up speakers at future meetups. I also want to just give a shout out to JFrog, who is the sponsor. I used to have giveaways, but I ran out of them. So I don't have a giveaway this month, but JFrog's been awesome. They've sponsored our meetup. They gave us a bunch of giveaways to give. We were giving away PyPortals, and we were giving away other cool things, like CircuitPython powered displays and stuff like that. JFrog is a DevOps platform for continuous releases. For example, if you need a PyPI inside your company firewall or something like that, that is what their product does, among other things. Cool. I think that's pretty much all of my announcements. So I think without further ado, Jeremy, are you ready? Are you close to ready? If you're not close to ready, I could go first if you want.
Let's see, that's it.
What?
That's what I'm working
Oh,
on.
are you connected to the network? Oh, I can help you with that. The Wi-Fi's not working? Oh, no, you just need a password. Let me get it. Oh, wait. I don't
Just disconnect.
anymore.
Should I
My
disconnect it
phone
now?
is- Oh, yeah. So you get you should have gotten an email, and it'll have a 6-character thing in the bottom of it. No. So,
Your account for this.
what? This is not what mine did. I got like an email, and it had a 6-digit code on it. Okay. This is totally not what mine looked like at all.
Anyway,
That's weird.
Let's see. Your last and
Wait. So you did a new account?
Yeah.
Okay.
anyway.
You want me to get you a? I can get it. Let me get it for
Here
you.
we go. I just closed it. I'm going to get out of this.
I will get it for you.
Oh, okay. I don't need that right now. Maybe.
Want help? I got it.
Okay. This.
You want me to do it?
Sure.
You can use mine. That's the 6-character password that they issued to me. Hopefully you just did. Boom. Hopefully. You're in. You're good to go. All right. So, and you have HDMI, right?
I think so.
All right. Yep. Should be good. All right. Jeremy Langley is our first speaker.
This side.
And, oh, this is not the right, this is the wrong notes. Got the right notes here. When all your devices are taken up by streaming, you have to print things out. Jeremy is going to talk to us about local LLM-based agent programming with Autogen. What's up?
All right. Let's see. First of all, how many of you have been on ChatGPT? Almost half the room, more than half. All right. So with ChatGPT, you find out let's see, we found out from 2 months ago, Hudson did a presentation on LLMs. They are great at predicting what is the next token, what's the next word in most cases. So we are going to be using this power to be able to build agents on top of this. Now, agents aren't anything new. They've been around for, since I was learning about them in early 2000s. So this is not going to be a new paradigm, but the ability for a computer to act on a predefined series of tokens is what an agent is going to be based off of. There's several different types of agents. So whenever we were working back in 2000-ish, they were working on trying to figure out plans. How do you make a plan for things like tic-tac-toe? What is a plan for a Roomba? Those are kind of now we're trying to make a plan for what's the next thing that we should plan for as far as language goes. We're going to pair this agent programming with an LLM, specifically a local LLM. The local LLMs, you can just install LM Studio. That looks like. All right, so LM Studio allows you to run a local LLM from your local machine. There are libraries which will help you load up an LLM just completely from Python itself. Be looking for those. Those are gaining more popularity. LM Studio is a nice graphical user interface, and it has the ability to run things like, hey, this is just like ChatGPT. So let's see. Well, reload this model to continue to chat. It's loading up the entire model. Now, the model that we're using is not GPT, not GPT-4, not GPT-3. Some of those are going to be way too big to run on an individual laptop with no graphics card or with a graphics card. So, yes, I could turn off the network to prove it, but I'm going to need to use it later on. It was hard enough. It was hard enough to get running. So, I've downloaded a couple of these LLMs, and let's see, the one that I used most for programming. I'm playing around with it. It's more of a toy right now than something that I'm depending on. So, it would be Mistral. So, Mistral is the name of the language model that I'll be using for this one. There are a lot of, let's see, CodeLlama is from Meta. I would suggest that one for programming. Let's see, Zephyr is another one that's just come out. So the landscape of all of these technologies are changing. The landscape of all of what the LLMs can do are changing. So at no point I would I'd be afraid to make companies based on this, because things like OpenAI, they just came out with their dev day, which killed a whole bunch of startups. So startups got millions of dollars to help make OpenAI's let's see, stuff better, and several of them are dead now after their latest release of stuff. So, anyway, do be careful. I do want you to be knowledgeable about this. So here we go. So we have the normal chat interface. That's not really what we're going to be using. You've seen the chat interface. What you do is you type in a prompt. Hey, I would like a random number generator to generate numbers between 1 and 100. And then all of a sudden it comes up with a random number generator, and it forgot something about the code. Maybe it forgot to import random. It's like, well, that's not very useful. It didn't run on my computer whenever I copied the code and pasted it into a Python interpreter. And now I have to go back and forth and have this conversation with the model. Well, what I'm looking to do is have an agent, let's see, answer and run the code and answer back with any kind of complaints, with any kind of errors that this gives. So for this, we will need a local server who's going to be serving this up. And this is running on server port 1234. Here's all of the normal default features. I'm just going to start up the server. On the right side, okay, we have some extra options. The nice part about this particular software is that it has some extra options for Mac computers. Got some Mac hardware options for M2 chips. So it can force the entire loading of the LLM into memory. Let's see, this, I think it was a 5 gig model. It's a 7 billion parameter model, so small in comparison to everything else that's out. There can be billions, there can be trillions of tokens, that kind of thing. So we're not dealing with that big. We're dealing with very small sets here. And so we can load it in 3 gigs, 4 gigs, 5 gigs. So I would suggest if you have a laptop that's got 8 gigs or so, you can probably run a very small model. If, let's say, modern processors, I was able to run it on something that I bought 3 years ago, worked just fine. So this, wondering if there's anything else I want. All right, so here's the key part. The server can be used as a drop-in replacement for OpenAI API. So there's a series of interactions that OpenAI has developed that other people are now using as a standard. So all you have to do is connect to this HTTP localhost port 1234 /v1. As soon as you do that, then you can start with Bird. Chatting. All right. All right. So this is a Jupyter notebook that's in the Autogen code base. These are all examples from the Autogen package. I downloaded it this morning. Things have changed. So I've run some of these and made sure that they work. But we're not guaranteed that these will work every time. This is not necessarily deterministic. So this is what's scaring me to death. Anyway, so import Autogen. This config list is the key on how you can get it to run locally. It depends on this file, OAI config list. I'm going to show you this file I have modified. Here's their sample. If you want to connect to GPT-4, if you want to connect to GPT 3.5 Turbo to save some money, they came out with the GPT-4 Turbo, let's see, at Dev Day, so I'm sure there's another extra piece that you can add to this. But we're going to skip all of these and use this config list. Not afraid to show you because the API key is null because we don't need it. We're connecting locally. So remember, here's that API base again, the HTTP localhost 1234. As long as it's got that version 1, it will finish the completions. The only lines you need are the API type, API base, and API key. The model, I think this is not needed. So I'll show you where I've been putting it, and I'm not sure whether or not, let's see, it works based off of the latest download that I just did. Anyway, like I said, all of this is changing. Like it changed this morning. In this filter deck, these are the models that you can run. If you want to, you can specify, hey, I want you to start off with 3.5 Turbo, and then I want you to switch over, let's see, if you can't connect to the 3.5 Turbo, I want you to use my local one. You can just put one model after another in this list. Let me give you an example. Here's what the models can look like. But what this is going to do, there's two types of agents in here. So there's an assistant agent and a user proxy agent. We're going to learn these things in pairs. Assistant agent, think about this doing things on your behalf, not, let's see, as a separate entity from you. In this case, it's going to be a coding agent. So this was doing all the coding. I have assistant agents as anything that does thinking or printing. Anything that's going to print out to, let's say this, standard input. User proxy agent is anything that's going to happen on my behalf, if I would do it. If you're going back to the GPT example where you were pulling out code out of it and running it yourself to make sure that it worked, this is what I have the user proxy agent do. This human input mode is, let's see, there's one of three options. One is always, one is never. I think another one is on terminate. The never means it's not going to ask me any questions. It is going to just run the code that the assistant is going to make. Now this is best played with two players. So we have the two players set up here. At the very bottom, user proxy initiate chat. So user proxy is the one who's controlling it. And the termination message is anytime you get the word terminate in caps, that's whenever you're finished. So we're going to take a look at what happens. I can tell that this is not finished running. It is finished. right. What it was looking for, what is the date today? It compares year-to-date gain for Meta and Tesla. So start up at the top. This is the conversation. First, let's get the current date. Here's the code for that. Next, we need to get the year-to-date of Meta and Tesla. After installing the Y Finance package, we'll be able to use it to download stock data. So it was able to write the code for that. Please, let's see. Please note this. It executed, and today's output date is this, and it got, couldn't install it, or it couldn't run it because it didn't have Y Finance. So the assistant now has to fix that. Now, let's see. We've just asked the question once, but remember, these two agents are going back and forth trying to fix the problem. So he has done pip install Y Finance. Going to try the code again, and execution succeeded. The output code, or code output, here it is. All right, Meta's year-to-date gain for today, 167%, and Tesla's is 116%. Okay, so as of today, November 16th, year-to-date gain is 167. Okay, first one. First one's down. Yay. All right, and we hit that terminate line. So that means conversation's over, chat's ready to go. Let's see, and now we can do things like plot a chart. And that's already finished. I'm going to go ahead and rerun it. No, it runs really quickly. So that's for today. All right. There are other things that you can build your own agent. So you can base an IPython user proxy agent on user proxy agents. So these are composable. And there are several others that have already been composed by Microsoft. So I'm going to take a look at those as well. All right. So this is group chat. This is for 3 or more players. In this case, we want to set it up just like we did the other one. It's going to get the configuration from this config file. I set the model myself. So construct agents. These are the agents. What's going to change, though? We have a user proxy agent. That's the same. The assistant agent. That's the same. We have 2 assistant agents. Okay, that's a little different, but not necessarily weird. But this is our new group chat. Whoever's in this group chat gets to talk. So let's see, user proxy, coder, and PM are all inside this group chat. So, and there's a manager. So the group chat has its own manager. Doesn't matter, I'm gonna run it. The user proxy is the one that gets to start off this chat. So find the latest paper about GPT-4 on arXiv and find its potential applications in software. So in ChatGPT, you might have seen the words show up, word at a time, and it will keep on going. Well, whenever it's local, it goes a whole lot faster.
Quickly clarify that when you hit run, everything below that is generated LLM.
Yes. So let's see. I'm going to. I don't know. Let's see. One of the annoyances about running Jupyter inside PyChat, or sorry, inside PyCharm, is that I can't get past this. I can't see, or I can't touch anything else except for this box. I'm going to type exit to get out of this, but I'm not really sure that I wanted to end this. Anyway, we'll take a look at this one. Please note that these potential applications are promising. The research indicates that GPT-4 still has limitations and is subject to ongoing research. Therefore, in developing these solutions, close attention must be paid to the limitations, ethical considerations, potential risks. Let's see. It found it in domain of healthcare. So it was looking for archive papers in this. So the agent was able to go out and get, let's see, the coder was able to develop software that was able to get a paper from archive, download it, and then they were able to find out what the description was and read the paper. All right, so that's group chat. All right. There are, let's see, let me go through another one. This is this is being able to do advanced research. Let's see, we need to be able to get multiple files. So here we're defining assistance with very long prompts. The more words that you add to a prompt, I think the worse it is. So I'm not sure if having all of this, let's see, I know all of this will work. Let's see, they wouldn't put it out as a demo because, let's see, but I would be very cautious about how many words you add to this. Let's see, some prompt engineering techniques are things like show your work step by step. That will get it to stop and think about how it, let's see, or how it approaches a problem. I have a scientist, a planner, an executor. I'm not sure exactly, let's see, you need to play around with the various agents that you get. They all have a, let's see, based on the sentence that you give it, they all have a point of view. And some may skew your results away from what you want. With that, no.
Mariatta is.
Oh, okay.
Should we go to that and maybe back for questions?
That would be fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Okay.
Because I know Mariatta is over 7:30.
We have a Google Meet, and Google Meet has an hour-long limit. And so if she's already on, then we need to get her in here.
You have to let her on.
Oh, yeah. So,
because it's permission. I feel like you're in a good spot, but I want to make sure that we get her while we can.
Absolutely. Let's see.
Mariatta is another speaker, a remote speaker we have today, and she's the PyCon conference chair. So, and she's gonna just give us like a brief blurb about PyCon US 2024, which is usually in like April and May timeframe. So we should probably just. I didn't mean to cut you off, but like
no.
we did tell her 7:30, so
yes.
I wanted to like get it over.
Yes. Hello, hello, hello. I'm just making sure to get our audio and video equipment here.
Let's see. Not hearing anything.
Okay. Let's see. Go ahead and.
So I think we have to put your audio. Remember how we've sent the audio output on your device to the HDMI? I think we have to do that.
Oh yeah, sound.
Yeah. Sorry, Mariatta, we're just getting the audio just right. So under output, yeah, do that one. Perfect. And hopefully this.
Try this. Say testing, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Might not be able to hear you.
Can
Can she not hear you?
you hear me?
I hear you, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Can you hear
Yeah,
me?
you
Yeah, and that's as I've got
turn
no
her
sound.
up slightly.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Yeah, I think we're all set for you.
All right, thank you so much. And I'm really sorry for causing a lot of trouble for you all. But I appreciate the opportunity to speak to the San Diego Python meetup. All right. Can I share my video? Like I have a video with audio. I don't know how that works with
should work.
sharing. Let me see. Okay. I'm just gonna try to share a video, which I'm not sure how to do it yet. Hold on. Oh, okay. I think I need to quit and come back to the audio. My browser is complaining. I'll be right back. I'm back and gonna see if I can share. Uh, um, okay. Okay. Hold on. I've prepared the video, but it's having trouble being shared here. And it looks like I need to share a YouTube video in order to share the audio. So now I learned. Okay, so this is the video I would like to do. All right.
We gotta streamline these ideas. We need Grammarly.
I've got your back.
Oh, cool.
You hear the sound, right?
With Grammarly by your side at every step of the writing process, you can nail your business pitch with confidence. So let's get going. Your assignment is due tomorrow. Welcome to Ideation Station.
I already have a lot of ideas for this one pitch.
Jumpstart your work with Grammarly. We can provide an outline for your ideas in a way that will make your assignment shine.
So this is how to write a business pitch.
I could not
I have
find
too much
the
in my
skip
intro,
app
but haven't even thought
button.
through my financial projections. Yikes. Gotta revise.
Here in the Revision Division, we can ensure your
Oh.
pitch is polished.
Sometimes I need to paraphrase.
It's easy to make your work clearer and more concise. They're still your ideas, just shorter.
We'll definitely stay under the time limit this time. better. Now, the biggest part of this assignment is making the pitch compelling for the judges.
You can use Grammarly to make your sentences more engaging, confident, and persuasive.
This is perfect. I can be clear and confident when we present tomorrow. The only thing left is acknowledging our sources.
I could
This
not
is
find
citation
the
creation.
script,
The citations are
but
complicated and they take
am I doing
forever.
something
You
wrong?
got this.
Citations can be easy. Even the AI prompts you just used with Grammarly can be cited to ensure transparency with your professors.
I promise
we're
this
ready to
was not
pitch.
my intention.
Yeah.
Writing is a journey, and with Grammarly, you never have to go at it alone. Download Grammarly for free. 94% of students say Grammarly helps improve their grades. Nice moves, Bernardo.
Attentive's old website lived
Oh
on
no,
which was a problem. Max was like, why don't we try Webflow? And we were all
am I
like,
doing
sure,
something
let's
wrong
do it.
here?
By Monday morning, we had a fully functional, fully responsive website.
Wait, you made that in one weekend?
Yeah, we made it on Webflow. It was really easy.
Very cool.
I'm so sorry. Okay. Yes, we should have done it earlier. There's a skip, but I feel like I'm not doing something. There's a skip. Oh, oh damn. Okay, there it is. Here you go. Skip. Now, what did I do? Why is it not full screen? Like, it's half. It's not showing the whole thing. Uh-huh. Okay. All right. Let's do this.
Hello Python community, my name is Mariatta and I'm the conference chair for PyCon US 2024. I'd like to invite you all to come and join us at PyCon US this year in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. The event is a large conference spanning from May 15 to the 23rd. PyCon US is the largest and longest running Python conference in the world. We have just celebrated 20 years of PyCon US in 2023. If you can't come in person, you can join virtually by attending the PyCon OX, our online experience. The first 2 days of the conference are the tutorial days and the summits. Then we will have 3 days of talks, keynotes, charlas, lightning talks, job fair, posters, and open spaces. After all the talks and the tutorials, we'll have the sprint days where you get to meet open source maintainers and contribute to open source projects. I understand that for some of you, traveling to a conference is a financial burden. It's expensive, and I know not everyone has an employer who would pay for traveling to conferences. And perhaps as a parent, you have childcare costs to think about, or maybe you're still a student or still looking for the right employment opportunity. Please don't let the cost deter you from participating. PyCon US has a generous travel grants program. Our travel grants application is not yet open, but please check back in December. The travel grants application will close in February. In 2023, we disbursed more than $270,000 to more than 300 attendees. So please do not miss the February deadline to apply for travel grant so that you can attend the conference. I'd love to see you speaking at PyCon US. Our call for proposals is currently open until December, and we have lots of resources on how to submit a talk. If you are watching this video, even if you've never given a talk before, whether you're a student or a hobbyist, I would encourage you to consider it and become a speaker at PyCon US. Speaking at PyCon US is not limited to professionals. PyCon US is a community conference, and as a member of the Python community, you have valuable and inspiring stories to share. If you need more advice and encouragement for giving a talk, please reach out. We have speaker mentorship program to help support you. Additionally, as a speaker, you will be prioritized to receive travel grant to attend PyCon US. Maybe you wanna give a tutorial. As a tutorial presenter, you will receive $1,500 US dollars for the tutorial. So this is one way to fund your travel. There are many volunteering opportunities prior to and at the conference. Right now, we need more people who can help with reviewing talk proposals. We also need more speaker mentors. There will be opportunities to help with the online experience. On site, there will be even more opportunities to volunteer and help the community. We are also looking for sponsors for PyCon US. If your organization is interested, share the sponsorship application found on the PSS website. Sponsorships make PyCon US possible and keep it affordable and accessible to the widest possible audience, as well as to bring folks like you to the event. Additionally, each sponsorship supports the Python Software Foundation, going towards an ever-growing range of Python community initiatives. Attending PyCon US has been a life-changing experience for me. I too once couldn't afford to attend the conference. I received financial aid from PyLadies and from the PSF. At PyCon US, I met lots of people. I met lots of other Python community members. They inspired me to become a speaker and to contribute to open source. It really opens up lots of new opportunities for me. If it wasn't due to PyLadies or the Python community, if there wasn't financial aid available for PyCon US, I wouldn't be where I am right now. And I want for you to have that kind of experience and opportunities too. Thank you for listening, and I hope to see you at PyCon US.
All right, that's enough. Okay, so thank you so much for watching, and really, we have our CFPs currently open, and we really would like to have more talks. And you, as the Python community in San Diego or wherever you are watching this from, we really would like to get your proposals. We have talks, posters, tutorials are available for you to apply. Um, Another thing I should mention as well, there are other opportunities for you to help out and volunteer. As I mentioned right now, what we need is speaker mentors and talk reviewers. But down the road, like especially on site, there will be lots of other opportunities to volunteer. So yeah, let me know if you all have any questions about PyCon US. I am available. You can email me, or I am on either Twitter, which I check less often now, but I am on Mastodon. So I think as long as mostly it's about Python, but if you use Python, I you can try it. To be honest, I'm not on the tutorial committee. That will be a great question for the tutorial committee, but just apply and yeah. Well, thank you so much for letting me join, and I'm sorry for the trouble. Really appreciate it. It's great chatting with you. All right, thank you. I'm fine. Thank you. I can hang up. All right.
So there's other ways of grouping these things. Let's see, these agents. There's other ways of let's see, composing the agents. If you want to build your own agent and have it, let's see, specifically for yours, you can let's see, take a base of the administrative assistant or a user proxy. So there are other ways or other things that you can do with this. You can create a RAG agent. There is a RAG agent already defined in here. What it does is it will take the LLM. It takes a series of documents that you want to let's see, involve in the knowledge base, and it will go and train on those documents. And so this retrieval augmented G. I don't know what the G stands for. And, so what it will do is it can tokenize your documents. So it can take 5 words at a time, let's say, and chunk them. So if you want to ask a question, then it will know what the next token should be. I'm sorry. And if you want to take a look at that, there is, I think it's retrieve chat. And it's using Quadrant as their this retrieve assistant agent with Quadrant. I don't know if that's how to pronounce it. They use a vector database. It's called Quadrant. It stores all that information, and it will ask whenever you ask the question from that, it'll be pulling it from Quadrant. I'm not going to go through all of them. Let's see. There's another one, Math Chat. If you want to use tools that are out there like Wolfram Alpha or functions that you want to define yourself, you can use an agent that knows how to use functions. Anyway, there are other ways to compose things, but whenever you want to get a better answer, you usually ask a better question, and you think that's the only way to get better answers. Maybe your company has hundreds of thousands of documents, and you want to be able to ask information from this over and over again. You want to know how well you are able to retrieve information from that corpus of 100,000 documents. So what you're going to do is you're going to set up a testing system to make sure that you're able to get the answers you want. You want to be able to pull back a specific document from that 100,000 that has specific information. If that query does not pull back that specific document, then you give it a lower score. You want to be able to test these things very carefully whenever you're dealing with a company with hundreds of thousands of documents. So you could be just making a service for your company. So the prompt engineering can only take you so far. There is retrieval augmented network, or retrieval augmented, the G part is really throwing me now, is another direction that you can go. There is another way that you can do fine-tuning hyperparameters. And that's yet a third way that you can go to help refine your searches. And it generally goes in that order that people try. So you try refining your prompt, you try adding documents to be able to get the information that is pertinent to you, and you try the hyperparameters. So anyway, that's generally the journey that you'll be taking down this, and how it differs from how it differs from regular software development. So far, questions? Yes.
So, you mentioned earlier that when you have like a bigger prompt, less accurate, like Grammarly, for example, it'll do the first paragraph well and the last one after the middle. Kudos. With local LLMs, what is so? I mean, that was regards to local LLMs. Like, let's see what causes that, and about a CS major. Simplest way to explain that if you can.
Okay. Let's see. I heard Jeffrey Hinton talk about LLMs trying to tell jokes. So it starts off by saying, you know, a beaver, a rabbit, and a dog enter a bar. That sounds like a good joke intro. And then it has to keep on going with some more things. Then it loses track. And then at the very end, it's got to figure out, oh, how do I wrap this up and make this joke like? And so it doesn't sound like a great joke. And so it's able to get a mediocre joke. Let's see. Remember that this, all of these is the next probable word. And so the next probable phrase, it leads to the next probable phrase. So it's going to be maybe a joke you've heard before, or like a joke you've heard before. So, there's ways that you can get away from that, the mean of the joke, you know, or the average joke. But you have to tune that in some hyperparameters.
Is that a plus tuning? There more hardware on it, like you just had an endless budget and a jerky. Scale up, really high capacity.
Could you get a good joke even if you threw hardware at it? Let's see. I like to believe it's possible. Let's see. But now you're going to get beyond my expertise. So.
Okay. Yeah, no worries. Just curious. Thank you.
No problem.
What is the problem with telling a joke? Logical. For the most common thing.
Not looking for the next logical word. You're looking for a surprise. For the people at home. Anyway. Well, yes. Realizing now that I've got it set up for this one.
Oh, you're going to set up for mine?
Yeah.
All right. Just to go back over.
Is it?
I'm David. I'm your last speaker tonight. I'm going to talk to you about introducing ML into a Django app. And hopefully it works. Oh, I think it's just on the wrong screen.
Okay.
Yeah, we just drag it over and we should. Yeah. All right. Awesome. Hopefully it just works. So I'm David. I'm gonna talk to you about this. So I am both your MC and your speaker tonight. And what that really means is I'm very highly motivated to line up more speakers for January. I'm usually the speaker of last resort. I usually have a couple talks either that I've given like a year ago or something like that. But really, I want to get other people speaking, not myself so much. Cool. So just a little bit about me. I work at Read the Docs. It's a documentation hosting company. I have a little bit of a background in security and privacy and that kind of stuff. I mostly work on web dev stuff, Django, Python, that kind of a thing. I'm not a data scientist. I know like the very, very basics of machine learning just because I have a bit of a math background, but that's kind of it. Like I don't really know what I'm doing here, but I'll tell you about my journey here introducing machine learning into a Django app, and we'll see how it goes. So this may not be obvious to you. I don't know if you've browsed Read the Docs, but ads pay the bills at Read the Docs primarily. So we run advertising on open source documentation, and that allows us to host the open source documentation. That is essentially how it all works. We didn't want to just like slap Google ads on them. We wanted to do ads that respected our visitors' privacy and stuff like that, and wasn't just doing things that aren't illegal yet. So we went to some ad networks in like 2017 and asked them, hey, we have some privacy concerns. We just want to do a few extra things to protect our users' privacy. Can we do this and still run your ads? And they basically said, take it or leave it. So we left it. We built our own ad network. We do our own ad sales. That's the history of that. But the key thing is we target ads to content and by like the user's geography rather than anything else. So we don't know anything about what you looked at a week ago. I don't care what you searched for, unless it's right now you search for it. None of that stuff. It's just based on the context of exactly the page that you're reading right now. So like if you were to think about that, if you're browsing a website, browsing something some documentation about Django, expect to see ads vaguely related to Django or backend web development, or maybe just something that any developer would be interested in. But you're not going to see ads about clothes or dog stuff or anything like that. So try to keep it kind of contextually relevant. So this is just kind of like the very, very basics. We distill a web page down into like some general keywords about it. How does this work? So we started with kind of like we ended up with a text classification model, and it categorizes websites into sort of a couple different categories that we're interested in, or just says, hey, this is just something about all developers. We started with something that was like more heuristic based. We looked for keywords, we looked for keyword frequency, we got more sophisticated. We did like keyword stemming, where you kind of like strip the ends of keywords and all sorts of things like this. But in the end, we moved to an off-the-shelf model at first, where we were building, or we just basically used a model from Spacey, which is like a big Python module for building machine learning modules. It was trained on like Wikipedia data, so just kind of generically built. We ended up kind of training our model off of that model based on like thousands of classified pages, where we said, okay, this web page is about this, and this web page is about this, and this web page is about this. And that's kind of how it works. So we just kind of classified about 1,000 pages, threw this data at it, and then you can turn this model loose sort of on any page, as long as it's about developer stuff. And it will mostly give you something that's pretty good. Right now, it only classifies to about 7 or 8 different categories, but like we hope to get it to tens or maybe even around 100 categories. Still all like developer specific. All of our stuff is around, what sort of subset of developer stuff is this web page about? That's kind of what all of our model is about. And that's kind of, there are a lot of these subsets. Is it about DevOps? Do I want to get more specific than that? Oops, kind of got dark here real quick. What is this about? Is it about backend web development? Is it about databases? Is it, you can think of like all these different categories, but there's probably only 100 or 200 categories you can think of that kind of make sense. Kind of the limitation here is that like this is hand or semi-hand classified data. Like we classified this data and threw it into the model. I'm working on some like semi-automation there, but I don't have a ton to show there yet. But basically you can think about, throw the model at it, throw like a keyword heuristic model at it, compare these. If they both kind of spit out the same thing, maybe you then review that and stick it back into the training set. You can kind of think about those kinds of things, but we're working on it. So I did put a version of the model on Hugging Face, and at the risk of oh, did this just launch? Oh, it did. It totally just launched. Let's launch it. At the risk of like, doing a public demo of a thing, I'm gonna do it. So this was broken at one point, but I think it will work. And I'm gonna just like go to Wikipedia and type like Django web framework. And if I copy kind of like the first couple paragraphs of this, and I guarantee you this is not in the training set, but if I copy this and then go back to the first tab and just kind of like stick this text into the classifier, like what is it going to spit out? So it kind of like runs it. Hugging Face, which is this website, is kind of a place where you can upload a model and it will just run it for you. So it says, yeah, this is about back-end web development. It thinks about 98%. Thinks it's about security like 3%, and everything else is like below 1%. So pretty reasonable. You know, a page about Django is probably about back-end web development. So that kind of worked. Let's see if we do like one more example just to show you that this isn't totally fake. And it's not, but you know, I want to prove it to you, I guess. We'll look up like Docker containers or something and see what this comes up with. Docker software. So if I like copy, oops, if I copy this, what happens then if I go back to here? And I didn't test this, so I don't actually know how well this is going to work, but let's find out. Okay, so it says this is kind of about DevOps, like 99.8%, which is pretty reasonable, and everything else is kind of below 1%. That seems pretty reasonable. So like this classifier kind of works, at least a little bit. This is kind of an older version of it. And you can imagine like putting other heuristics in front of this, like, you know, doing language detection before you even feed it into the model, make sure that the text is sufficient length before you even feed it into the model, lots of stuff like this. But basically, yeah, this model mostly works. I'll close this down and, you know, get back. It's always nice when your like live demos kind of work. Not always the case, I suppose. Anyway, you could try it out if you want to. Hugging Face does kind of crash. I'm like on the free plan, but like it mostly works. But you can kind of feed it anything, and it will. If you feed it like, you know, New York Times headlines, it might say that they're like about something else. It might say they're unrelated. It'll give you kind of like not like a 99% answer. It'll give you like maybe 40% because like doesn't fit into these main categories, which are the categories that we sell to advertisers. But that's kind of the classifier and how it works. I figured like no presentation is quite sufficient without code, but this is kind of like the basics of how you would run this inside of a, you know, you could have a module that literally runs this. When you train a model in Spacey, and usually you want to train it on a GPU, we do our training on cloud GPUs, but basically it spits out literally an installable Python package. And you put that name right there. And so when you've built your model and you're happy with it, and you've tested it, and you're like, this model's great, I'm going to run it in production. You can use something like this. Text-to-C is kind of like a pre-processing library. It helps you get a model for text processing and run it. It specifically runs Spacey models that are intended for text. And it can do things like, I'm going to take the text that you spit in there and normalize it for Unicode and remove punctuation and normalize the white space, pre-process it, and then run the train model on it. And it'll sort of spit out exactly those categories like I showed you and what their percentages are. And you can kind of grab that and then make your own rules on it. Like, I don't want to count this as maybe being about a topic unless it's over 75% or something like that. You could also envision like having 6 different models, like a model specifically that categorizes, is this web page about security and privacy related stuff, yes or no? And then you just run all 6 models on it, or run 50 models on it, and just sort of see like, how does this text classify? What I would suggest if you're sort of getting started, you're like, how do I do this? Start with one of the pre-trained models, and with text-to-C, like it's not a lot of code. You can just kind of stick this into I wouldn't stick this into like a view in Django, but you could put this into some back-end processing and sort of process however you want to do it. Start with something that's kind of like similar to what you're already doing. So like Spacey and text-to-C are good for like natural language processing and text-based models. Scikit-learn is really good for like clustering or regression type models. If you need to do like audio or video classification, there's a bunch of stuff for that in PyTorch. So start with something off the shelf, and a lot of them have pre-trained models that aren't necessarily like optimized for exactly what you're doing, but they'll get you started and they'll show you like, hey, this is what's possible. And then most of the time you can train a model from an existing model. So you could take an existing model, feed it a bunch more classified data that you want, and sort of train a new model based on that that's specific and knows a little bit more about, you know, whatever you're doing. In my case, classifying web pages. But for you, who knows, whatever. Start small, and like most of the time I feel that you're going to spend is going to be spent on the training set and operationalizing, which I'm going to talk a little bit more about. Not a ton of slides left. There are some considerations. I did want to talk a little bit about operationalizing. Ran into a lot of issues with this, so I'll talk about those. But like when you're doing this, you know, not every problem lends itself to machine learning. Some things like simple heuristics or just rules work fine. So like, you know, anytime you have something where it's probabilistic, you're like, it could be about this, or you could make an argument about it. That's probably where something machine learning is good at. You know, it's good at taking a problem that maybe is in a gray area and creating a solution to that may not be perfect, but it might be good enough. Training is very slow. I did want to talk about that. Our model trains, and keep in mind, it's trained from an existing model, but we can train sort of like a new version of the model. It still takes like 20 minutes on a GPU. And that's a very short training because we're not feeding it like millions of new records or something like that. But training is still pretty slow and requires like, you know, heavy duty machines. We train in the cloud. Runtime is much faster, but how fast is like a very, you know, how fast is fast? You saw it here. We could classify in a couple seconds. Kind of depends on how big of a GPU you're throwing at it. How much CPU are you gonna give this? Do you need to run this massively parallel? If so, like, are you gonna run this in like multiple processes, each one that has the whole model loaded into memory? This is kind of getting into like the operationalizing issues that you might run into. So like you might say, oh, you know, a model that takes up less memory at runtime might, even though it's worse than a better model that uses more memory at runtime or requires a GPU at runtime, like you might make kind of that sacrifice in order to trade it off, in order to operationalize things. You know, we're running like this model hundreds of thousands of times a day, so like you have to kind of make these trade-offs. Otherwise, like your machines will just run out of memory or cost you a fortune, one or the other, or both. Hopefully, oh, Jeremy, I got to your password prompt. I didn't hit it in time, I think. Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah, that is almost the end of my talk, so I don't blame you for having it really short. That's probably what I would do too.
Let's see if you hit,
Anyway,
if you hit the bottom right corner.
Oh, did I hot corner it or something? No, my bad. Anyway, that's kind of the bulk of what I wanted to talk about. I did just have some links to stuff, but like, you know, you could try these various things. Hugging Face is where you saw how I could just type it into that model. Basically, that's just like a website that hosts models, and with like just a couple lines of code, you can put it in there. Anyway, happy to take any questions if anybody has any questions. Go ahead, Yvonne.
A couple of questions.
Go ahead.
First is, well, of course, you have, based on what you're describing, basic company went through the process of doing supervised training. So you have to go through the process of building the tables and pricing. So, say 1,000 documents.
Well, so the question was, did we do this on like 1,000 documents? We did supervised learning. Yes, that's correct. But keep in mind, we didn't start from a model that knows nothing. We started from a model that was already trained on Wikipedia. So like, we didn't start from nothing. We started from something that already knows a lot about text, but it also knows a lot about other things that aren't related to development. But we wanted to hone this model specific to like the categories that advertisers want to buy, mostly.
Basically, you build in whatever was knowledge there and then specialize it out. Training for those 1,000 documents.
Yeah, exactly.
And furthermore, you're saying that it takes about like 20 minutes to actually process that training.
Yeah.
And then
it can take longer. It kind of depends like more powerful GPUs take less time. But yeah, somewhere in that range. Like, but keep in mind, again, we're just training it on those 1,000 new records on top of the existing model. So not like a massive, massive training set. If I had hundreds of thousands of records, I assume that the training time would be much, much longer.
So how often?
We retrain whenever we add new data into the training set. So if you don't have, there's no reason to retrain if you don't change the training set. Like,
That was going to be my next question. You have to retrain it unless you had a new categories actually documents it.
yeah, so either you want to add a new category, or you're like, hey, I noticed it's miscategorizing some things. I'm going to add a few of these into the training set to help it like categorize those things correctly in the future. Any of those kinds of things. So like, for example, I talked about how I want to get to like tens or even 100 categorizations, like topics that I could categorize to. If I want to do that, I need like lots of records on each of those categories, right, in the training set. Otherwise, it's not going to be able to understand them. For example, if I said, I have DevOps as one of the things that it could classify to. But let's say I wanted to classify something like very specific, like two-factor authentication, right? There are totally two-factor authentication companies that would love to buy ads that just targeted two-factor authentication related content. Like that would totally make sense from like a business perspective. But I need like 100 samples of good pages that are about two-factor authentication and not about other things, right? Or if they are about other things, I need to categorize them as, hey, this is about two things, two-factor authentication first, and maybe, I don't know, security second. So, you can sort of see how this gets a little tricky, and you just have to like, you're going to need 50 to 100 samples of every single topic category that you want to be able to categorize reasonably, and it has to take into account all of your other categories.
So in order to build those cases, publish text, or your team is actually doing those.
We use pre-existed published texts, and we categorize them manually. So we basically read a web page, or looked at the first 1,000 characters of a web page and said, this web page is about back-end web development. Boom. I will categorize this as back-end web development. Did this for like 1,000 pages and fed it into the model.
Now, after you build the model,
yes.
And let's say in the code that you showed is supporting more doing this searching. So, what is the actual phone page? Say a 1,000-word page.
Great question. So basically, what's the runtime look like? And the answer is it depends. But it depends on things that we can control somewhat. So one, the more characters you feed it, the more the runtime is going to be. And it doesn't scale linearly. It scales worse than linearly. I think it's n squared, but I'm not 100% sure. But it's significantly worse. So like if you feed it 200,000 words, not only is the runtime going to scale up, but the memory requirements are going to scale up too. And so like, you depending on how parallelized you have this is not going to work. So you have to either truncate pages, strip it down to more reasonable amounts, something. You will have to spend time operationalizing this, figuring out what does work and what doesn't work. For us, we try to make sure that every classification can be done under 2 seconds, and we don't do it when like an ad is requested, for example. Like you have to pre-compute, essentially. Yeah, you have to pre-compute.
If you're loading the page, how long is the actual backend holding the page to be loaded after the actual ad has been properly categorized?
No. Yeah, you have to do it. You have to do it offline, essentially.
Do you for all the pages that you have ads on your category cache that comes in?
Yep. When you're a small ad network, you can spider all the web pages where your ads appear, and that is exactly what we do. Yeah. Does that make sense? All right. Any other questions? Yeah, go ahead.
So you guys use Spotify. You guys
Are we using spot instances? No. We are so the thing that spiders is, and this is the thing that has high CPU and memory requirements, we have dedicated number of instances, and if we fall behind, like we will just fall behind, or we will scale down how frequently we recrawl. So right now, no, we have a set number of instances, and we're just maxing them all the time. Yeah. All right.
I think that read the docs is static HTML.
Read the docs is static HTML, but these ads do appear on other websites. But yeah, it does get more complicated if you have something that's like a single page app where like the text is rendered from JavaScript and not like in HTML. But there are ways to make this work.
So basically, processing the tag authentication, which is basically dynamically built and
yeah, when the page requests an ad, it sends the URL. We have basically a cache of this is what types of ads you should show on this URL, and it's all pre-computed based on this machine learning classifier.
So that's why you have to be building the.
Yeah, pages change, but usually not that much. And at read the docs, mostly not at all, right? Like, I mean, yeah, the page might change, but what the page is about is not going to change. Because it's like a documentation for a specific module or something like that. Well, I lost this. That's okay. I don't think I need it back. Cool. Any other questions? Just do the rolling hills. Well, awesome. That's pretty much San Diego Python for this month. I do want to thank the speakers. I want to thank Qualcomm for having us, and I want to thank JFrog for sponsoring. Please sign up to be a speaker. Remember, next month, third Thursday, and not here. We will be somewhere else. It'll probably be at a restaurant. Back to the regular schedule in January. Awesome. Thank you. Stop all the downloading. Hopefully this stream's okay. Yep. Do that.